Hi, my name is Al Green. Not that one, but the struggling guy who was in the music industry for years trying to sell talent and songs to agents. The agents befriended me and taught me techniques that I want to pass on to you through my program, which is called You Can Talk, You Can Sell. Anyone who has ever taken this program has excelled in selling and either risen to the top of their company, their team, or the top of their field. It's called You Can Talk, You Can Sell, and you can get it right here. Do you find yourself wandering in and out of success and failure? I spent over 4 decades in selling. I've got more failures than you could imagine. And yes, each one of them was a lesson as to what not to do. Lessons are not always about what to do. A lot of times it's what not to do and applying new techniques. But the idea is you don't give up. You got to keep it simple and you got to keep it moving. It's like riding a bike. The best way you can teach a kid to ride a bike is once you get going, keep moving. There's a lot of reasons why that is, a lot of physical dynamics that are going on. But in sales, it's pretty much the same thing. If you're having a bad week, you keep on going. Just keep on going. If you're having a good week, you keep on going. These are little techniques that the top salespeople do. I knew a guy years ago that would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every morning to get out of the house and start his day early so that he could come home on time, work a long hour day, and come home on time and have dinner with his family. And he did very, very well for himself. He didn't work weekends, he didn't work nights, but he worked a very, very busy, long day. And he did this for years until he retired. What's the difference? What did I learn from him? I learned that I wasn't working hard enough. I was getting up what I thought was early and getting out there, but then I was working late to compensate. And there's nothing wrong with that because that's the extra you put on. And believe it or not, a lot of us are workaholics. We love to go out there and deal with people. We love to keep the money rolling in. I used to like it when I'd be sitting home at night and the phone would ring and it's a customer. Because I would tell them, call me anytime, I'll probably pick up the phone. And they always say the same things. I'm really sorry to bother you. It must be your supper time or it must be you're with your family. I go, no, it's quite all right. Let's take a minute and go over this because we can always finish up the details tomorrow. But the fact of the matter is that what I liked was the fact that there was no worry from that customer any further about calling me. And yeah, I would work 7 days a week. And I would have to really cut out time for my family, just like a sculpture has to remove the excess marble or the excess stone or whatever it is that's extra. It's like the statue of David when they asked Michelangelo, how did you carve that? His answer was, to paraphrase, he removed everything on that block of marble that was not the statue. It's pretty much like that. In other words, whatever I can do to make a sale, whether it's in the evening or it's early in the morning, whatever makes it work. These are not techniques that are against any company policies either. My company didn't mind if I wanted to work myself into the evening, but there were nights that I found myself at home doing nothing anyway. So if I take a phone call, I would surprise people when they would call at 11 o'clock p.m. thinking they're just going to leave me a message, and I would pick up the phone. And they would go, oh my God, I didn't know you would actually pick up the phone. And I said, neither did I, but what the heck? And they would say, well, hey, listen, I have a question. Can I ask you now? I'd say, go right ahead. No problem. In other words, I kept it simple, but I kept it going. Now, that's not a technique that I learned. I learned that technique from a guy who was one of the most successful salespeople who did it his way. And it was completely opposed to the guy that I knew that would get up at 5 in the morning and go to work so that he could get home on time and spend more time with his family. There's a lot of differences going on there. I didn't adopt that type of a philosophy until My kids were grown and out of the house. And then it was just me and my time. And my wife likes to watch TV anyway, so fine. It was perfectly okay. Plus, I was making money, so she didn't mind if I was making money. Who would? Okay? But the idea is to keep it moving. Keep it in motion. You've got to keep everything moving. That's the key to doing great selling. When you keep everything moving, not only do you feel motivated, but you feel like you have more energy. It's kind of like, you ever get up in the morning and you're just tired and you feel like you're wiping the sleep out of your eyes, and then you get out of the house and start working, and some reason, an hour into your work, you start getting motivated, you start feeling a different energy, and you're not even thinking about being tired. The only time that would happen to me is when I didn't get enough sleep, and I used to commute 2.5 hours to work. And when I'd get there, I'd be tired, I have coffee, but once I mingle with a few people and they give me a project to work on, I was pretty good to go. By the time I got home at night, I didn't have a lot of energy to do things, but the fact is that was my time to rest anyway. Later on, when life became a little bit easier and I didn't have these huge commutes, it was just simply a matter of taking into consideration my priority. Believe it or not, when things get more expensive, especially in this economy, and you can make the money by just a little bit extra work, it certainly pays off. So what if you take the idea a little bit further and you establish yourself to be a person available all hours of the day or night? No, I have not picked up the phone at 1 o'clock in the morning, but I have picked it up at midnight when a customer thought he would challenge me and say, oh, you're going to work 24 hours, huh? Well, let's see if you will. And he called me at 11 o'clock at night and said, I'll tell you what, if you could be at my house by midnight, you've got a sale. This was a very interesting time. I said, believe it or not, I'm going to take your challenge. And I showed up at his house at midnight and I closed the sale because he challenged me and he thought it would be funny. He was laughing the whole time, which is fine with me. Plus, I got a referral out of him. Now, not everybody works that way. A lot of people won't work that way. But when you're working with homeowners and other people in businesses, a lot of times that is the case. There was a company that, believe it or not, all of the executives that were doing paperwork, like purchasing agents, did their paperwork at night. They came in and they worked a shift till like 1 o'clock in the morning. They didn't have a problem if I wanted to come by at 11 o'clock. Believe it or not, they had the time. They weren't rushed and nobody was bothering them and the phone wasn't ringing off the hook. And it was a great time to sell and I had a lot of fun. It was hard to justify, but who cares? And when I told people at work that I went and saw a guy at midnight, they basically said, are you out of your mind? I said, I must be, but I got the sale. And the sales manager said, I don't care what he does as long as he gets the sale, because that's the whole idea. Bringing in sales, whether you're a business owner or you're a coach, that you have to motivate your people, whatever makes it work, as long as it's legal and as long as it's moral and you're not asking people to do it. They're free to do whatever they want on their own. Nobody in the company asked me to work late at night. It was always my choice to do it, because when I would bring in the extra sales, a lot of times I was asked, how did you do it? What did you do to make more sales? I work just as hard as you do. And I said, okay, well, one of the things I do is I'm available at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. How late do you work? And he told me every night at 7 o'clock, he shuts his phone off, he shuts down his computer, and no more working. I said, that's great. But then his sales were not as easily made because he had to work really hard to get the numbers. And he usually would work very hard during the day, but that's why he would burn out at 7 o'clock at night. And you don't want to do that. You want to feel the motivation. Like I said, it's like being tired and going to work. Once you go to work, you get a surge of energy and you get to feel like things are happening around you and you're making them happen, and it's exciting. And believe it or not, when I would go see a customer at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I didn't feel tired. I felt like this is great, especially if they say something like, would you like a cup of coffee? What the heck, why not? Okay, or I'd walk in with a couple of coffees from Starbucks just to say, hey, listen, in case you're getting a little bit slow at the end of the day, maybe this will give you a pepper upper. They would appreciate stuff like that. But every technique that's taught in the six-figure selling system is not something that's based on any theory. These are actual techniques that have worked by actual people that succeeded in selling. If you can understand that what we're going to do is adopt your style to you and make it so that you are a better you. It's that simple. Keep things moving and keep things in motion. There's a lot of other techniques that we're going to talk about that possibly you have not come across before, but are going to be there for you. So just remember, whether you are a motivated person or not, something would motivate you. Because I have talked to a lot of people that say, you know what, I just can't get motivated. I understand that. What does motivate you? And if I interview them long enough, I'll find something in their path, something that they enjoy, whether it's looking forward to a baseball game or looking forward to going shopping or getting into their new house or their new car or whatever it is. In talking to people, I found out something very interesting. A lot of people who work a regular day job live a life that's pretty much a routine. People love routines. They want to get up in the morning. A lot of people have the same breakfast at the same time, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I was a little bit more creative. I didn't always want to eat at the same time. Sometimes I wanted to vary it. And I didn't want to have the same food every day because for health reasons, I see the advantage of eating something different every day. But that's me. The fact is, when I would get to work, most people that I worked with would look at my selling and they would applaud it, but when I would talk about it, they would tell me I'm literally out of my mind and I really shouldn't have to do that. And I told them that's 100% right. I don't have to do that, but I got things I want to do on the weekend, so I'm going to work tonight so I can get a lot of this work done. And then I got my weekend free. That was an absolute pleasurable way to work. Plus, when you do the higher selling and you hit the higher numbers, you're pleasing your supervisors. If you own the company, you're pleasing your bank book. You're bringing in more sales. And a lot of times people say, you know what? My company is not big enough to pay me a lot of money. Okay, what is it you're selling? If you're not selling something that every sale isn't making you a good amount of money, let's talk about, is there a way you could increase the volume? At one point, I was thrust, not by my own measure, but I was thrust into selling cell phones at a time when everybody was competing. You had AT&T versus Verizon versus, I could name a few other companies that don't even exist anymore. I did not want to sell cell phones. I didn't go into business to sell cell phones. I just didn't like it. I didn't want to sell phones because, number one, the tools that the company gave me, I didn't feel were good enough for me to be effective. So I had to find a way to do it because they did put minimums on us. And the only way I could do it was to keep the momentum going and continue working and continue striving to talk to people about it and put more things in front of them. I also learned the value of literature, to always have something to hand the customer. And the interesting thing was, when I was a teenager, I wanted to make extra money, so I took a job selling magazines. Now, what has that got to do with today? That was my first foray into selling. In one of the classes, we're going to talk about the value of brochures and flyers and things to hand people directly and how to do it and be effective at it. So I hope you'll join me there, and I'll look forward to talking to you then. Until